Hi Reception, and welcome to your Reading and Understanding of the World lesson. It's Thursday the 21st of January 2021 and our skill is to identify rhyming words. We're going to start by reading the end of our story and then looking closely at the words in the book that sound the same. For this lesson you are going to need your brains and your rhyming words. Now, these words here you don't need to print out, but you do need to pop them up on a screen at the end of the lesson. Okay, let's have a look at our story mountain. Our story mountain has helped us identify the beginning, middle and end. And on Tuesday, we learnt that Pete, all he wanted to do was tidy up the forest. So in my first box at the beginning, I have put Pete tidying up the forest. On Wednesday, we learnt the middle of our story. And the middle is the problem. We learnt that Pete put a thick layer of concrete on the forest floor. This meant that he had got rid of all of the shelter and all of the food. So when Pete got hungry and tried to find the beetles and worms that lived underground, he couldn't get to them. When Pete thought that he would just go home, he realised he couldn't do that either because his home was under the ground. So he had a bit of a problem. Can you remember how he overcomes that problem? Let's read our story and find out. Later that night, Pete tossed and he turned. His belly was empty. It rumbled and churned. As he lay in his mixer, wide awake, he started to think, I have made a mistake. So, the very next morning, when it got light, he set about to put everything right. The animals came from the strong to the weak, and they lent him a paw, a claw, or a beak. Let's just have a look at this picture, because it's brilliant. You can see all the hard work that Pete's doing to put his problem back. He's replanting the trees, he's moving things around, and he's putting the forest back the way it was. They put everything back as it had always been, but maybe less ordered and not quite as clean. And Pete, well, he promised to tidy up less, but if he succeeded is anyone's guess. And that was the end of our story. So in the end, it turned out that Pete actually learnt to love the forest that he lived in. Even though it was a little bit messy, that was okay because that's where his shelter was, that's where his food was, and that's where all of his friends were as well. So I can complete my story mountain now. At the beginning, Pete tidied up. In the middle, he put concrete over everything. And then there was no more shelter and no more food. And then finally Pete put everything back the way it was and everyone could live happily ever after again. Now I love this story because I'm always on the lookout for books that rhyme. And if I just read you a couple of pages, I want you, if you can hear the rhyming words. So, deep in the forest lived a badger called Pete. Now I would like to see if you can hear the word that sounds like Pete in this next sentence. Who tidied and cleaned and kept everything neat. Did you hear it? Pete and neat. He tidied the flowers by checking each patch. So now I want a word that rhymes with patch. And snipping off any that didn't quite match. Patch and match. Now rhyming words are words that sound the same. They're not quite the same, but they sound very close. And they usually have the same sound at the end of their word. So this is what I would like you to do now. I have one set of words over here in blue, and I have another set of words over here in green. And a blue word matches a green word. And I would like to see if the first thing you can do today is read all of those words. And the second thing is to put two words together that you think sound the same. Pause the video, have a go at this activity And when you're ready, we'll go through some answers together. Now, my top tip for today's lesson is to make sure that you have read all of the words first, and then pick one word, maybe from the blue section, and listen to it against all of the other green words. That's what we do at school, and it's a really good way of helping us to identify the word that rhymes with that particular word. So good luck, have a go, meet me back here in a minute. Everyone had a chance to do their activity? Okay, let's go through some answers together. I would like you to first of all read these green words with me. So let's have a look at the first one. We have red. Second word, flock. A flock might be a new word for some of you. It's what we call a group of birds. So when you see birds together, they might be flying in the sky, you can say there is a flock of birds. Right, third green word, pick. Fourth word, fix. Fifth word, bud. Bud might be a new word for some of you. It means, there's a good picture of it here, a flower that hasn't opened yet. So it's growing and it's very, very new, and you can see here that all the petals are kind of like tightly close together because it hasn't branched out and opened. So that's a bud. And then last word, scrub. Great, right, let's go through some answers. So our first blue word was stick. Now I'm going to read stick against the green words, and I would like you to tell me which one's the answer. Stick, red. Stick, flock. Stick, pick. Stick, fix. Stick, bud. Stick, scrub. Can you tell me the answer? Of course, it was pick. Stick and pick. Let's say those together. Stick, pick. Right, they rhyme. So that's exactly what Pete the Badger was doing. He was picking up all the sticks and all the leaves off the forest floor. Let's have a look at the next blue word, rock. This time I'm going to read rock against three green words. So was the answer rock and red, rock, flock, rock, fix? And the answer, drum roll, was flock. Let's say it together. Rock, flock. Okay, next word we have rub. So, does rub rhyme with rub, fix, rub, bud, rub, scrub? It was scrub, and that's exactly what Pete was doing in the story. He was scrubbing and rubbing and making everything squeaky clean in the forest. Next blue word, mix. So, mix, red, mix, fix, mix, bud. It was fix. Say it with me, mix, fix. Okay, our next blue word was mud. Does mud rhyme with mud, red, mud, bud? Of course, it was bud. Pete the Badger got rid of all of those, didn't he? He got rid of all the flower buds and all the mud. Which means these two words must rhyme. Let's read them together to check. Bed, red. They do. Amazing! Now, if you did that really quickly and you need an extra challenge, you can see if you can find other rhyming words. Perhaps you might want to pick one pair and then see if you can continue that rhyming string. If you want to practice your handwriting, then this is a really good way of practicing some writing in your books as well. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. I hope you've enjoyed our book, and I will see you tomorrow for another short lesson. Make sure you have a break. Have a lovely day, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye.